What's going on, Mo? It's your boy, DameSmiff, and I'm going to talk to you guys really quickly about what I would say is the current state of the music industry today. Okay, and so if you're interested in that conversation, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And if you are a musician, let me know in the comments. If you're just a fan of music and just like to have conversations about art and music in general, let me know in the comments as well. Now, today's topic is kind of like, I guess you could say layered, but it also is a question that I've kind of not really answered. And it is, what is the role of the tech industry within the music industry? And so it only really jogged my mind when I started to hear other artists talk about it and hear like other musical podcasts talk about it and things like that. And it was really around the sense of, do we really have a relationship with the tech industry? Or is there a partnership? Is there an adversarial kind of relationship between the tech industry and the music industry? I'm not too sure. But one thing I did notice is that we do benefit from one another, right? And so let's just objectively lay out the benefits between the tech industry and the music industry, so that way we don't have any kind of like, I guess you could say, disdain or stigma to one industry or the other, right? So within our particular context here of musicians to technology and, engineering in general, the relationship we have, I would say, isn't a parasitic one, but we do have a symbiotic one, right? So musicians and creatives and content creators and influencers, we have the ability to make a product, an idea, or create a service out of literally nothing. Like, we can just have a blank room and we can fill that room with ideas and colors and, movements, vibes, and sounds that can be very unique. And that's valuable to people who are trying to create something like that in order to sell, or in order to market, or maybe create some kind of culture or brand or communication, right? And so in our industry, in the music industry, we found a lot of ways to use our ideas and creations to bring, financial success, maybe a lifestyle, or maybe a culture, or even a brand new market. And so when you're in another industry, in order for that to really be of value to your own, you try to find ways to benefit the industry you're looking at, or the way that that industry can benefit your own. And so what technology has helped musicians do is, it made it easier for us to create. It made us easier for us to communicate with each other and collaborate. Now, the only issue that arose from this was that people had different agendas on how to use the technology. Okay. And so there were certain portions of the industry, there's not really people to point at and think, people to blame. But the thing is that there are people who would prefer to create a product that is efficient and a lot in quantity, or higher in quantity and not high in quality. And so you got a lot of musicians and people who were fans of music finding opportunities in that through technology and not through the music industry. So people who had no idea how to make music didn't need to learn the skills to make music when they had the tools that would make it easier. Okay. And so what that did is it created an opportunity for more people to eat, to create, to make business, and to, feed their families and things like that. The only issue that comes with is, again, intention. So if you can find a way to feed your family with a product that's easy to make, easy to produce, and we all like it, like, let's say, a ringtone or a viral song, or maybe you learn how to service musicians, where you have companies that allow musicians to promote their music or shelve their music and actually have some kind of storefront for their products, right? You see these opportunities, but they become opportunities that are kind of like pillars in your own lifestyle, meaning like you wouldn't give up, your family business just because it's the right thing to do. It would destroy your family. That's why it's the family business, so you would try to make it work in order to kind of appease the solution. So instead of looking at a lot of the issues that the musicians have, you will look at a lot of your own issues and prioritize those. And that's where the problem between the tech industry and the music industry lies. So now let's look at it at a basic level. When you think about what music is to you. Let's say if you're a fan, what music is to a fan. It's usually a emotional connection, an identity connection, or some sort of, let's say, like cultural connection, right? Usually people try to find like things they can relate to in their music, and it helps them purchase and make good decisions on what kind of music they enjoy and will enjoy in the future. Now, that creates another opportunity for the tech industry, meaning instead of creating music, what if I was the person to tell you what's hot to listen to or what's the newest artist? What if I was always the person or the entity to tell you what's the newest thing coming out, so that way you're always ready? That's one opportunity. Another opportunity could be, what if I were to just explain to you what the new music is, or what old music is, or what any interesting music you have out there. So then you have things like search engines, you have things like lyrical breakdowns, you have music theory breakdowns, you have all these different opportunities that come from technology that surround music, okay? And then the next thing is, what does music mean to the artist? And so for the artist, it's usually similar to the fan. Like there's usually a cultural connection, an identity connection, and things like that. But the next thing that comes to it is this music has to kind of be a driving force for either the lifestyle, the business, or the communication they're trying to make. Because some musicians aren't necessarily in for the money. They're in it to actually deliver some kind of purpose, some message, and things like that, right? And so when you're considering the different things, you're going to have to really put it into perspective when you look at business, right? So in some cases, businesses will try to look at, let's say, your cultural connection to something and then find an opportunity in that. Or they'll look at your identity to a product and try to find an opportunity in that. But if you're a fan, it's hard to really tell that that's happening in front of you with, let's say, your favorite musician or a musician you don't necessarily like. And so once we consider these different things, we'll have to look at a lot of the processes that happen in business, right? And so in business, there's going to be things that they look at, like your identity, your culture, or maybe how you connect to something outside of identity and culture. Sometimes it's literally just location. Like you can just be from Miami and that's enough for people to, indulge in buying your music or going to a show. So this creates a kind of weird relationship because no one really knows what intentions are visible, but at the same time, everybody relies on each other for success. So we're essentially in a marriage where the spouse is like doing what they're supposed to by the book standards, but we don't really know why they're doing it, and that's kind of the weird thing for many musicians to grasp, because they want to be successful, and what it takes to be successful, the intentions sometimes can get muddied up on the way to your success. So now let's look at something like pricing. Like, how would you pay for music, or how do people purchase music and value music? It changes over time, but let's think about like what it costs to make a song or an album versus what we as fans and artists are willing to pay and also capable of paying, right? And so there is an affordability thing, but there's also a miscommunication on what value really looks like in music, okay? And so let's think about this. So if you're a musician and you want to create a song, right? Today, if you wanted to make a song, you could just get a computer, software, loops, learn how to use that software, and then publish it, and then create some kind of storefront and market it to where you can sell it to people, right? That's it. That's pretty much the process. Those steps can either be easier or difficult depending on your individual situation, but that's the basics of getting into the music industry and getting started, just getting your foot in the door, right? Now, if you want to get into like image and things like that, this is where value starts to take a either a dip or a rise, right? Because now you're looking at whether the fan base appreciates you for who you are, what you are, or where you are instead of what you do. And this is the hard part about music, because technology doesn't need all of that to be successful. Like you don't need to know why you have to buy an Apple Watch. You just need a reason to buy an Apple Watch. You don't have to know why you need a new TV, for Black Friday. You just need a reason. And with music, it's hard for people to put like a fine line on it. So many musicians, record labels, companies, corporations, whoever's, selling you music, they're going to find a reason for you to buy music. And you're going to have to be, as a fan or as an artist or a consumer of music, you're going to have to be intentional with how you vet a lot of the music you enjoy. And that comes from your culture. Some people's culture doesn't resonate with certain genres of music, and that's okay. That's fine. They don't have to appreciate everything. But this is kind of something that, again, it's difficult to kind of lay out for the music industry. It's easier when you connect it to something like the steel industry or something. You can kind of just put numbers to numbers, but the way we value music is a little different. If you knew, living today, Michael Jackson would get a fraction of a penny per play or per stream of the songs that you purchase, would you intentionally stream his music, or would you find another way to support him as an artist? I don't know. And if that's true, then is it wrong for technology companies or the technology industry to take advantage of that mindset, of that culture, that it's okay to pay any musician a fraction of a penny because you're not willing to find another way to support them anymore? So if this was cool, if this made sense to you, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, let me know and I will get right back to you guys. This was a late night at Dames, and we are chatting about the music industry yet again. Let's get it. I'm out.